All right, y'all, we're here today with Leigh Thompson, and maybe y'all don't know who she is, but she is the founder of the independent Facebook dealer group. So if you're not on there, make sure you get on there. Another thing she's awesomely passionate about is the wonderful world of reviews. I'm passionate about it. She's passionate about it, and Jeff is too. So today we're going to get in there. We're going to figure it out. We're going to go over platforms. We're going to go how to ask and how to reward.
And Luke, what I find is really funny, Leanne, I'm stepping on Luke's intro. What is that above your shelf there on the top of your shelf in the background?
That's my Dealer Rater Award.
No. On the other side.
The flag?
Yes, the American flag.
I got an American flag. I see it. That's our retired. I like yours behind you, Jeff.
If you've listened to the shows, Luke, I'm going to mail you one.
I have Kramer.
I'm going to mail you a flag. And a swordfish. What is that, a fish?
Yeah, fish. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Independent Dealer Podcast, the podcast for auto dealers to learn and grow together. Here are your hosts, Luke Godwin and Jeff Watson.
So, Leanne, tell us about the Facebook group. You and Luke both know, you're kind of like co-conspirators in this thing. How did it come about?
Well, hold on. We're not co-conspirators because she's the mastermind behind this. And
so you're like the puppet.
Yeah. And okay. So she and Dan Real got together and then they drug me into it. And I've been the guy who has to be the jerk when people need to be hammered on.
You're good at it.
You're the police, Luke.
Yeah. The shoe fit.
Back in 4 years ago now, January of 2015, I started the independent dealer with Dan. And how I met Dan is I was looking at a website. I was looking to invest within a website with AST, Auto Search Technologies. And I heard the pitch from them, and it was several $1,000s for the website. So what I did is I went and saw who actually had the website. So I went online and looked to see who actually has the website. I found Dan, and I Googled a bunch of people, and I just started calling. And Dan talked to me the most out of any of them. So I'm like, hi, this is Leanne in Fort Myers. You don't know me. Please don't hang up. And so we started talking. And so then a couple weeks later, he was so helpful. I called back. I'm like, hey. So I got the right guy. And so him and I started talking on the phone, and we became friends. And I suggested that other people would have similar questions to what I had. And so that's how the group started.
That's great. You know, Dan is it's so serendipitous. I think that you picked Dan to call because Dan is such an asset to the industry, and he has a lot of knowledge, and he's a guy that honestly is a Facebook guy and was able to understand what you were going through. So I think it's a real tribute to you and to Dan both that y'all started this group and that y'all came together like that. Because if you'd have called me, I probably didn't even know what a Facebook group was, so I probably wouldn't have been any help.
So
that's forward thinking in 2015, right? That was kind of when it was still a little bit of a fad amongst maybe the younger kids. But Leanne, you saw the vision of getting a group together. So and how long did it take until it started getting traction? Was it right away, or has it taken a couple years, or when did it really pick up?
I think, what are we at, about 800 members now?
Maybe 900, I suppose.
Yeah. What I also started, there was two groups I started at the same time. I started Fort Myers Cars for Sale.
Right.
And that was just for my benefit. Well, the other one was for my benefit too. But I've got about 14,000 people in Fort Myers Cars for Sale.
Wow.
Local members now. And so
that's a for sale by owner classified? Or is that yours?
It's my group. It's got my dealership on the top. And it's my rules, and I'm the police on that. So,
but anyone can post their car for sale, or
anybody can post
your vehicles?
Anyone can post, because I want to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Because the more members, the more eyes on my dealership.
Well, that was very smart, because nowadays I think every community has 2 or 3 dozen for sale Facebook groups in their area. It'd be really hard to start one where you got in early. You kind of have the
So that was been an asset. So I kind of grew both of the groups together at the same time. So Dan was really involved with NIADA. So he spread it through that. But what my idea is let's get the most successful and the guys, I want to get the top performers across the country in the group. So I kind of, same thing how I found Dan. I just went on Facebook and said, hey, hi, I'm Leanne. So I'd already met Luke.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I met Luke, and we've been to a couple conventions together now. And so I would invite people like Luke. And if I went to FIADA things, I'd invite people through there. But we tried to get top performers to join the group so that the people that were answering the questions were high quality and knew what they were talking about, industry leaders.
Well, Jeff, one thing a lot of people may not know about Leanne is Leanne was a newbie to our industry at this point. So she was, you're a pharmacist, correct?
I am a pharmacist with the state of Florida.
So what's interesting is that she got into the car business, and she brought a wealth of knowledge of just knowledge. Very smart and not the typical car dealer. Didn't have to be in the car business, but decided that this is what she wanted to do. And I met her at a mastermind group that Tracy Myers had put together. It didn't last all that long, but it was a really great core group of people that I've learned a lot from. I know Leanne probably has as well.
Definitely. Tracy's the best, and I'm so glad he's in our group.
Yeah, I mean, I think the group has been great. I argued for many, many years with my 20 group that, hey, man, we got to talk more than just 2 or 3 times a year. Like, we need constant communication because these issues come up and everyone has some sort of insight. And I'll tell you what, any person who's getting into the business or has been in the business and just wants to learn more and hone their skills and get some insight, like, just go through the postings. I mean, I could spend just days and days in there reading everyone's comments and suggestions and insight. I mean, it's been so useful.
Yeah. Talking about when it first started and how, I mean, Leanne, you can remember this. You might would go 2-3 weeks without anybody posting anything, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And now it's hourly. People are posting, and you get West Coast dealers and East Coast dealers, and it almost goes 24 hours a day. And I used to read every post. I used to read every comment, but I don't have time to do it anymore. So it's really, I mean, it's morphed into something that's not hard to control. Well, it is hard to control, hard to see everything that everybody's doing. But the brains behind it were amazing.
Yeah, both of you guys have done an awesome job at kicking people out too, and just keeping it true to the core of who we are, and because we don't want vendors.
Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah, that's one thing I find in some of the other groups is there's some bad apples in some of those groups, and the animosity between people and the fighting and people that are just there with other agendas. Like, I think keeping it pure is smart. It doesn't have to be the biggest group on Facebook.
No.
And
it's nice that we're kind of nationwide now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can find somebody to help you in any situation, typically probably about anywhere in the country, I would think. I know people from Oregon to Southern California to Massachusetts to Florida. So there's people everywhere, and it's really it's a real asset to our industry.
Yeah, no, I think so too. So the other thing I think we should do collectively, I think we need to write a book next.
All right,
we each get like a chapter, and like a chapter on marketing, a chapter on have you seen those books where they have
Tracy's done a bunch of those, and not a bunch. Tracy's done maybe. I'm
just putting it out for us, boys.
Maybe 3 or 4. I wouldn't be against it. We've but it's I know other people have done it. It's actually a pretty good idea. I read a lot. I'm more of a reader than a Facebook guy, and so I definitely think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. So that's something we can work on. But I love what you guys have done.
You heard it here first. We are writing a book.
Yes.
Hey, best-selling
right.
book.
I'll do the topical guide or something, or the index. Well, Leanne, let's talk to you today. Let's focus in on something that I think you are great at and passionate about, and that is getting the online review, correct?
That is true.
Okay,
That's
cool.
We pride ourselves on here.
I mean, geez Louise, how important is it? Is it the most important thing in your digital footprint, in your digital presence?
I think it is. That's where
you can have a fancy website. You can have a fancy Facebook page. You can have great pictures and videos and run a ton of ads. But if your reviews are not there and not good and not up to snuff, like, what do you have? Yeah,
you got nothing. There's 40 dealerships on my street right out here on Fowler, 40. So I have to differentiate myself. So, and make our business different and say, well, if you're going to come visit one of them, stop it at Fort Myers Auto Mall.
Yeah, I tell you, and ever since I've known you, you've been passionate about this. We go about it a little two different ways. You're a big dealer rater. You still with Dealer Rater? I
I
see
am
that.
with Dealer Rater.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about Dealer Rater and your reasoning behind being there, and then maybe I'll talk about my philosophy, which differs from yours when it comes to where reviews should be.
So I learned about Dealer Rater from Tracy Myers at our mastermind group, and he told me the importance of it. And there were, first, we've won for 3 years in a row now, 2016, 17, and 18. We were the Dealer Rater Consumer Satisfaction Award for Fort Myers, our area. There were 5 local winners the first year. It was Fort Myers Infiniti, Land Rover Jaguar, Scanlon Lexus, and O'Brien Hyundai, and Fort Myers Automotive. So 5 local winners in about 1 million population.
Wow.
Density. So we were the only independent dealership in that. So I think that's a differentiator for us. And so we've consistently won that the last 3 years. And I just think it makes a difference. It gives us like that. It's called social proof.
Yeah.
So someone else coming in saying these guys are consistently performing at a higher level with reviews.
I had never heard that nomenclature there of social proof. Where'd that come from? Did you just?
I got that one, I think, from Jonathan Dawson. So, like right here, look. So I got those trophies up there.
Yeah, I saw. I see them on there.
Plaques, and then over on the wall there, I got banners from this little thing here. I got a map right there, and that says how far did you drive to buy a car from us?
Mm-hmm.
And I got little pins of the state of Florida. So these are all little social proof things.
That's interesting with the map there. I would have that map in my showroom.
Okay, this is my showroom. I got whatever. This is my showroom. We're in
So you said you sit on the floor.
Yeah, I'm sitting outside here.
Okay.
I'm looking over.
So you're Dealer Rater. Let's talk a little bit about the difference in your social proof from being Dealer Rater to Google to Facebook to Yelp. I'm a big Google guy. I think your Google rating probably matters more than the rest of them. Do you have an opinion on this, and why Dealer Rater? Why not Google?
I like Google too, so I'm trying to spread the love. My hardest one where I tried to get traction in is Yelp. I've got two reviews on Yelp, and I've shot probably, I think there's 12 published, but only 2 of them show, and that's the one that I'm having the hardest traction. So I gave up on Yelp.
I'm gonna blow your mind. I have
How many do you have?
I have 3 Yelps that are published, but I have 49 unpublished.
That's why I gave up, because I'm 2 published and like 10 hidden.
And that's because you're not paying Yelp, correct?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
You know what? I think it's you've got to be an active Yelp community user. So if you sign up, if I ask you after we do our car sale, and I ask her, or we use it for our service department too, we'll ask for reviews. But if you're just signing up for an account, they're going to hide your review. I
even paid them to see if it would make a difference, and it didn't make a difference. And what I call them is I think Yelp is a bunch of extortionists, but they don't even understand how to be extortionists, because if I'm paying them, I should get my reviews up, right?
Correct.
But I've got 49 5-stars that aren't listed. I've got 3 that are recommended, 2 5 stars, 1 1 star. So it's just the way it is, I guess. But Google, I think, in my opinion, I focus on Google and Facebook, and it's built into our pay plan. I believe Google, because of their ability to control who sees your content and who doesn't see your content, I think my opinion is that you should focus on Google more than the rest. Now, and the reason you should focus on Facebook as well is because so many people are on Facebook. Jeff, you're the Facebook guru. You probably have an opinion on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm changing as the times change. Facebook obviously changed their review display and settings. Now they're recommendations. And so I think, if I'm correct in how it sits today, is you get a star rating, but you don't necessarily see people's quantity of reviews anymore. And
So
I could be wrong about that.
I have 4.9 out of 5 on Facebook based on opinion of 216 people. So it's still giving
your
you
side.
What's that?
Is that your view or is that the
No,
customer's view?
that's the customer. Well, I don't know because I don't know. I cannot answer that.
Okay.
But I think it's there on the side of the page. So I think they're still, they're still looking at how many people actually do it because that matters, in my opinion.
So I like to spread them out because do you guys know what the knowledge graph is?
No, I don't.
So you type in so if you go to you're on the screen, type in Fort Myers Auto Mall, and it's that little box that appears on the right on Google.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go down here and look, and it says reviews from the web. Dealerator, I've got a 4.9 out of 5. I got 115 reviews. Facebook, I got a 4.6 out of 5. Our Gurus, I have a 5 out of 5.
Right.
So if you have enough of those, it will also post on there, and it's just more proof. So I've got 88 Google reviews, and I'm with you on Google. They own the internet.
Yeah. If you look at Goblin Motors, and I'm hardcore when it comes to Google. I think that's where you should do it. But if you look down at our knowledge thing, I guess is what you're calling that. It's 4.9 Facebook, 5 out of 5 Car Gurus, and 4.9 out of 5 on Carfax. And we don't do Dealerator. I don't do it. I believe that matters so much. We've got 381 on Google, and we push that every day. I mean, we don't use you're
not using Podium.
We don't use Podium, but like I said, it is built into my
process.
My staff's process. It is built into their pay plan. They know it is beneficial for them to make sure that customer gets 5-star service. Number one, that's number one. And number two is it's imperative for them to get the customer to talk about it, because when they talk about it on social media or on Google or wherever, it helps our bottom line. We have customers that walk in off the street after reading a Google review and say, I want to speak to this salesperson because I saw how great they are on Google or on Facebook. So it matters. It matters a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it starts with your team, that you have to be able to provide the service.
Yeah.
And then I like it, how you want the customer to talk about the service. Yeah. And it kind of maybe inspires them to tell their friends too.
Yeah.
Gets them into dialogue.
For sure, it all ties in together. And it starts at the top. It starts at the top in the way you and I treat customers, how we talk about customers when they're not here. It talks about the way we treat customers when our employees are watching what we do. And if you don't have it at the top, it's hard to get it into your staff. But you have to train, you have to have processes and procedures in place, and you really have to make sure that you're walking the walk, because who cares if you're not walking the walk?
Yeah. So when we talk about the platform we're getting the reviews on, that's a personal preference. It probably has something to do with geography too. I know that Car Gurus is non-existent here in my state, but it's really huge maybe in the Southeast. And, Leanne thinks dealer rating is the place to go, whereas Luke focuses everything on Google. So we all kind of have our different platforms that we go after. It's hard to be everything to everyone, but there are certain ones. But tell me this, give us a practical plan for actually getting those reviews. Do you guys incentivize the customer to leave a review or just ask? Luke said it's part of his employees' pay plan. Like, Luke, could you share that with us? Maybe what your strategy is? I mean, 381 Google reviews is pretty darn good right now.
It's pretty simple. It's built into the pay plan process. So I think I've gone over this before, but it used to be I paid $25 per 5-star Google review to our staff each month. Okay. It's just a commission based. Okay. Well, if you get somebody really good at that, they'll work that pay plan and work it, right? And next thing you know, you're paying a huge sum at the end of the month. Well, that's great. I don't have any problem with that. But what we did is we started building in a tiered platform. If you get 5 Google reviews, your bonus is 150. If you get 10, it's 200. If you get 15, it's 400, or whatever that number might be for your dealership. Everybody's pay plan is a little different, but I require that. I expect it. If you get to the end of the month and I'm working on your commission and I see that that you don't have any Google reviews and you sold, 15, 18 cars, there's an issue. There's an issue with that person. Either they need to be trained more by me, or they need to understand that I expect them to do something different. So I think it should be built into your collector's pay plan. It should be built into your salespeople pay plan. I think it should be built into your service people pay plan. I think it should be built into every person that touches someone at your dealership's pay plan.
So Leanne, how are you getting your reviews? What's your strategy there?
That we asked at the point after the sale, we get a little card from Dealer Rater, and it's kind of a process to go through. It's not an easy 2-second process. They have to validate the review. So I get a lot of them hung up, and it can't be on my IP address, so it's got to be outside.
Oh, wow.
So we're in subprime market, so people have problems with internet access. And so, like, I have many more reviews on Dealer Rater that didn't make it to the end. It just, like, the technical capability of getting the review published seems to be a blocking point. And so it's kind of a harder process. It's easier to get a Google review, because most people have the Android phone. And just to get a Google review, just for the audience, if you go to like Google Maps, because it's kind of hard to find where to review it, but you have to go to the Google Maps area and then type in the dealership, and then it says ask write a review.
That's I find that when you have a clumsy
Process,
it creates issues. And years ago, I had our own card built for reviews only. Before it was commonplace for people to know how to do it. We screenshotted a colored postcard that we handed out every time someone walked out the door, so they knew exactly what to do. And Jeff, you're talking about incentivizing the customers. That's probably a gray area, but it probably needs to be built into a process to a point that I don't know if I don't think you should pay a customer for a review. I think that's not what you should do. But there should be an incentive based on how your process works to ask that customer to do it.
Yeah, let me ask that question then. I mean, Leanne, what's your opinion with the dealer rating? That's a lot of hoops you're jumping through, and you're asking that customer to do it out of the goodness or their love for you or their enjoyment of the sale. Is it wrong to incentivize? Hey, we'll give you a free car wash for your time, or we'll help you with a tank of gas for your time and your effort to leave us a review. Well, what's your opinion on that?
I think that you could get banned from just if someone said Leanne pays for reviews, or gives me this. So we don't do that. But we're building especially with our buy here, pay here business. It's a relationship. And sometimes we work hard on financing. It's on the subprime. They've been to 5-6 dealerships. Can't get financed, so they know that we actually work for them to get them into a car.
It's interesting, because a lot of Yelp reviews are restaurant based, right? That's where Yelp's really made its bones. And Yelp, I'm not sure that Yelp does this, but pretty much any store you go into, a restaurant that's trying to boost their Yelp reviews will give you 10 or 15% off the meal if you leave a Yelp review while you're there. So it shouldn't be something it shouldn't be a monetary thing, but I think building into the process something to reward your customers, whether it's an oil change or a car wash or something to that effect, I'm not sure that you're breaking the rules there, but I think it's I don't see anything totally wrong with that. I might be out of line there, but I don't think it's something crazy wrong with that.
So what's the difference then? I mean, I guess I look at these platforms that are pay-to-play platforms like Car Gurus, or I don't know how dealer rating works, but I know Yelp, like you said, Luke, there's a little bit of review extortion there. Maybe, I don't know if they know how to do it or don't, but I know I've definitely gotten calls from people like that and the Better Business Bureau that are like, well, if you want to respond to this, or if you want this rating to go away, you need to sign up for our pay plan. Like, is that not... I mean, what do we do with those, Leanne?
I don't know. I think Yelp is an extortionist. I'm totally with Luke on that one. I don't understand why they hide the reviews, but I think it's that they're active. You've got to be an active Yelp member, and they have to know you. And so I've just given up on asking for Yelp reviews. Unfortunately, I was at a conference, and it was Glenn Patch's, And you know how when you talk to your phone and like, Siri, I need a car dealer, or I need a restaurant. Those are going to be based off of the Yelp reviews. So that's why I started putting focus on it. And so that's why I also try to spread the reviews across different platforms, because you don't know who's coming from Google, where their source is. So.
And you talk about spreading across different platforms. I may go into the next month and see that we have a stupid amount of Facebook reviews last month, and I may say, hey, pay plan has changed this month. I'm only paying for reviews on a certain platform. And so there's definitely a way to make sure your sales staff doesn't always pile them on one platform, and they can move them around, because I agree, you need reviews across the whole platform.
I know that. Did you see that Chris had lost his Google reviews?
Yeah, we saw that. We were actually talking about that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you lose them, then you're back to zero.
Well, that brings up another topic, and people that aren't crazy about Google like I am, make sure you claim your business page. Make sure you verify it. Make sure you do the things that you should do, because if you lose it and you've built up 300 reviews, and next thing you wake up in the morning, you have one review, that's an issue. That's
going to hit you in SEO too.
Oh, huge hit in SEO.
It will, because that's your validity.
Yep.
And I did the math. If Luke actually had incentivized his employees $25 for every review, it's about a $9,500 investment.
Oh yeah,
and I know it's worth it, because you see it. We get customers based on our reviews, and that's another reason why I like to ask for reviews. Because if the customer comes in saying, this was like, I was reading about your online reviews and the last for a certain salesman, then it's easier for us to then ask them to give us a review.
Yeah.
Another quick thing that you need to think about is, all of us get negative reviews, right? So Leanne, talk to us about what happens when you get that negative review, and how do you handle it?
So my best ones have turned a 1-star into a 5-star. So.
That's the goal. How do you do it?
With hearts. It's a complaint on something, so it's a goodwill form.
And that's interesting. It is, it's a bit of extortion, but every once in a while we make mistakes as business owners, and luckily a consumer has a way to call us on those mistakes. And sometimes you don't understand the mistake until the customer points it out directly. And it's a great platform. And I think having some 1-stars and 2-stars out there is not the end of the world, because it shows it that all yours aren't paid for, right? Yeah. So make sure you respond to those reviews, and make sure you take care of them. If it's a BS complaint, then you need to address the complaint. But if it is something that you or your staff messed up on, make it right for the customer.
Yeah, and it's easy to do. So there's a dealership up the road. It's called Priceless Auto Mall, and they have 2 reviews, and both of them were, I bought the car on a Tuesday, and Wednesday the transmission went. And the guy says, up yours. And
I assume he's not in the group, so he probably won't hear this.
No, he's not going to be in the group. I'm not inviting him. But how can you operate a business like that?
You won't for long.
You won't. No, he'll be gone. So my thing, my past career was a pharmacist, and consistently we won the most respected professionals. So when I came into this business and started working with my husband, I wanted to bring used car dealers, senators, lawyers were all at the very bottom. So one of my goals for a dealership was to bring up that level of trust. And that's why I value the review.
There's that's 100% right. Let's get past those politicians and attorneys. Let's be better than
that. Steve B here on your reviews, Luke. So you handled that situation.
A cease and desist letter was issued to Mr. Steve, and told him that we would sue him for defamation. And and that's an unfortunate situation.
That's just people. That's the hardest thing I have, Luke. When you talk about the review extortion, it's really, really hard. It's dealers who were a little scrappy. We might have a chip on our shoulder, and sometimes our knee-jerk reaction is to get angry. And I've seen some of the folks on, even on our Facebook page, they talk about how when they get a 1-star review, they light the guy up and air all the dirty laundry and say this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, ugh. you got to be the bigger man, and be diplomatic about it. Is it good to respond to those? Do you want to boost them in the relevancy ratings, or do you just
respond to every review? Make sure, good or bad, you respond to it. We've been getting them so much here lately, I hadn't had time to sit down and do all of them. But you need to make sure you do that. You talk to the customer. If you got a bad one, talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on. Because if you consistently get certain reviews saying certain things, you have a problem. Don't kid yourself about it. And fix the problem. Don't keep going with it.
Yeah. One thing that I find is interesting, Leanne, and I talked to my staff about this yesterday or Monday at our meeting, is I said, you know what, right now, if you're a dealership and you have 2, 3, 4 dozen, maybe 100 reviews, you're doing pretty good. Like, you'll rank high in your town, at least in my town. The new car stores have 200 or 300, and I'm pretty darn close to them. Luke is probably killing it in his market with 300. Yeah. But if you think about the progression of reviews, just like the progression of your Amazon reviews, back in the day, if you went to go buy a product and it had a couple dozen reviews, you were like, oh, good. Now you've got to have at least 500 to 600 or not 1,000 reviews on a product before you even consider it in the top tier. Do we need to make sure we're on the train right now because it's going to get worse and worse and worse?
I want to
better and better, basically.
We started selling cars on eBay, and this is where it first made sense to me. We started selling cars on eBay before we had a website. I'm pretty sure the first car I sold on eBay was in, let's say 2004, okay? And that star review mattered so much on eBay at the time. Nobody had a lot, and we just, when I got a negative review on eBay for something that we did, man, it crushed me. And that, that whole thing there really opened my eyes to what we were doing. And if we were doing something wrong and when we did something wrong, how to fix the problem. And eBay really opened my eyes to what you're talking about with Amazon.
Yeah, the quantity is going to get to the point where if you're not a dealer with 1,000 reviews, you're in the bottom bucket.
Oh yeah, I'd hate to have to start in business and compete against someone who already has $300 or $400 5-star reviews, because it's going to be hard to get any traction.
Yeah, I agree.
So where do we start, Leanne? What's an action? We wrap this up. Where can dealers listening today get started? What do they need to do?
You got to claim your Google My Business page and own it, and make sure that a third party doesn't have access. Because I've heard lots of cases where you kind of lose access to your own business. And there's an app called Google My Business, and just make sure you claim it, that you're on there, and then start asking your customers for reviews.
So do we need to be on a system? Do we need to be on a podium? Do we need to just do it ourselves?
I've done it myself. Luke's done it himself.
So
and
number two would be to
on
ask.
all my platforms, I've got 400 plus reviews on each when you add them all up.
To talk about number two, which I think was your ask the customer, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Sometimes if we do something extraordinary for them and provide a level of service greater than, we'll just go back and revisit to make sure, if they haven't given us a review, to do that. If they are hugely complimentary of our service, but you can put it into your process, and after every sale, ask the customer.
So what's the last part of that? Is it the follow-up, or is it the, what is the last, what's number 3 on this? How do we get started?
Number 3, you just got to do it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you just got to be out there asking, but you have to have a quality product too. Yeah.
No doubt.
Like you can't be asking them for reviews if you're not providing, like going through your vehicles and inspecting them and selling something that you're proud of.
I love that, being proud of what you sell, because that is what matters.
Yeah, some people might be scared of getting them.
Yeah.
No, I bet there's people out there that they're not going to ask for reviews, that they wouldn't want to know.
Yeah.
I know there's dealers out there.
Okay, so don't be the dealer that's afraid to ask for a review. If so, you're doing something wrong.
Don't be that guy. This has been great. How
part of our
people
process, when you come in, Blaze, my salesman, ask them, like we ask, how did you find us? And if you haven't seen our reviews, like, have you Googled us? Have you done some research on our dealership? And so we pride ourselves in it.
Yeah, put it out there. How do we get in contact with you, Leanne? If people want to know more, if they want to learn more, ask you some questions, what are some ways that they can get involved with you and get more of your knowledge?
I can be found in 2475 Fowler Street in Fort Myers, Florida. My email is la@fortmyersautomotive, and yeah, be happy to talk to anybody.
And she's super active on the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Independent Dealer Facebook group, get on there. Leanne personally responds to every single comment, I think.
Not that much time in the day.
Yeah.
Thanks,
But
Leanne.
I love what you guys are doing with these podcasts.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So keep that up.